Hello everyone, welcome to our channel Create Your Wealth. Let's continue our series on Rich Dad Poor Dad. In this video, we will continue with chapter 2, which is based on lesson 1, The Rich Don't Work for Money. And this is the part 2. In the previous part, we saw two young curious boys who wanted to learn how to get rich, end up starting their own business. In this part, they meet up with the rich dad to know his theory about money. So one of the boys, that is Robert, asks his question, "So how come you're not rich, Dad?" I asked. "Because I chose to be a school teacher. School teachers really don't think about being rich. We just like to teach. I wish I could help you, but I really don't know how to make money." Mike and I turned and continued our cleanup. "I know," said my dad. "If you boys want to learn how to be rich, don't ask me, talk to your dad, Mike." "My dad?" asked Mike with a grumpy face. "Yes, your dad," repeated my dad with a smile. "Your dad and I have the same banker. He raves about your father. He's told me several times that your father is brilliant when it comes to making money." "My dad?" Mike asked again in disbelief. "Then how come we don't have a nice car and a nice house like the rich kids at school?" "A nice car and a nice house does not necessarily mean you're rich or you know how to make money," my dad replied. "Jimmy's dad works for sugar plantation. He's not much different from me. He works for a company and I work for the government. The company buys the car for him. The sugar company is in financial trouble and Jimmy's dad may soon have nothing. Your dad is different, Mike. He seems to be building an empire, and I suspect in few years he will be a very rich man." With that, Mike and I got excited again. With new enthusiasm, we began cleaning up the mess caused by our now defunct first business. As we were cleaning, we made plans on how to talk to Mike's dad. The problem was Mike's dad worked long hours and often did not come home until it's late. His father owned warehouses, a construction company, a chain of stores, and 3 restaurants. It was the restaurants that kept him out late. Mike caught the bus after we had finished cleaning up. He was going to talk to his dad when he got home that night and ask him if he would teach us how to become rich. Mike promised to call as soon as he had talked to his dad, even if it was late. So the phone rang at 8:30 p.m. "Okay," I said, "next Saturday," and put the phone down. Mike's dad had agreed to meet us with Mike and me. At 7:30 a.m. Saturday morning, I caught the bus to the poor side of the town. The lessons begin. "I'll pay you 10 cents an hour." Even by 1956 pay standards, 10 cents an hour was very low. Michael and I met his dad that morning at 8 o'clock. He was already busy and had been at work for more than an hour. His construction supervisor was just leaving in his pickup truck as I walked up to his simple, small, tidy home. Mike met me at the door. "Dad's on the phone," and he said to wait on the back porch. Mike said as he opened the door. The old wooden floor creaked as I stepped across the threshold of this aging house. There was a cheap mat just inside the door. The mat was there to hide the years of wear from countless footsteps that the floor had supported. Although clean, it needed to be replaced. I felt claustrophobic as I entered the narrow living room, which was filled with the old, musty, overstuffed furniture that today would be a collector's items. Sitting on the couch were 2 women, a little older than my mom. Across from the woman sat a man in workman's clothes. He wore a khaki slacks and a khaki shirt, neatly pressed but without starch, and polished work boots. He was about 10 years older than my father. I would say he would be around 45 years old. They smiled as Mike and I walked past them, heading for the kitchen, which led to the porch that overlooked the backyard. I smiled back shyly. "Who are those people?" I asked. "Oh, they work for my dad. The older man runs his warehouses and the two women are the managers of the restaurants. And you saw the construction supervisor who is working on the road project about 50 miles from here. His other supervisor, who is building a track of houses, had already left before you got here. Does this go all on at the same time? Not always, but quite often, said Mike, smiling as he pulled up a chair to sit down next to me. I asked him if he would teach us how to make money. Mike said. Oh, and what did he say to that? I asked with cautious curiosity. Well, he had a funny look on his face first, and then he said he would make us an offer. Oh, I said, rocking my chair back against the wall. I sat there perched on two rear legs of the chair. Mike did the same thing. Do you know what the offer is? I asked. No, but we'll soon find that out. Suddenly, Mike's dad burst through the screen door and onto the porch. Mike and I jumped onto our feet, not out of the respect, but we were alert. Ready, boys? Mike's dad asked us as he pulled up a chair to sit down with us. We nodded our heads as we pulled our chairs away from the wall to sit in front of him. He was a big man, about 6 feet tall and 200 pounds. My dad was taller and about the same weight and 5 years older than Mike's dad. They sort of looked alike, though not of the same ethnic makeup. Maybe their energy was similar. Mike's dad says, you want to learn to make money? Is that correct, Robert? I nodded my head quickly, but with a little intimidation. He had a lot of power behind the words and a smile. Okay, here is my offer. I'll teach you, but I won't do classroom style. You work for me, I'll teach you. You don't work for me, I won't teach you. I can teach you faster if you work. I am wasting my time if you just want to sit and listen like you do in school. That's my offer. Take it or leave it. May I ask you a question first? No, take it or leave it. I've got too much work to do to waste my time. If you can't make up your mind decisively, then you will never learn to make money anyway. Opportunities come and go. Being able to know when to make quick decisions is also an important skill. You have an opportunity that you have asked for. School is beginning or it's over in 10 seconds, Mike's dad said with a teasing smile. Take it, I said. Take it, said Mike. Good, said Mike's dad. Mrs. Martin will be here in 10 minutes. After I'm through with her, you'll ride with her to my superette and you can begin working. I'll pay you 10 cents an hour and you will work for 3 hours every Saturday. But I have a softball game today, I said. Mike's dad lowered his voice to a stern one. Take it or leave it. I'll take it, I replied, choosing to work and learn instead of playing softball. 30 cents later, by 9 a.m. on a beautiful Saturday morning, Mike and I were working for Mrs. Martin. She was very kind and a patient woman. She always said that Mike and I reminded her of her two sons who were grown and gone. Although she believed in hard work and she kept us working, she was a taskmaster. She spent 3 hours taking canned goods off the shelves and, with a feather duster, brushing each can to get the dust off and then restacking them neatly. It was a boring work. Mike's dad, whom I called a rich dad, owned 9 of these little superettes with little or large parking lots. They were the early versions of 7 to 11 convenience store, little neighborhood grocery stores where the people bought items such as milk, bread, butter and cigarettes. The problem was this was Hawaii before air conditioning and the stores could not close its doors because of the heat. On two sides of the store, the doors had to be wide open to the road and parking lot. Each time a car drove by or pulled into the parking lot, dust would swirl and settle in the store. Hence, we had a job for as long as there was no air conditioning. For 3 weeks, Mike and I reported to Mrs. Martin and worked our 3 hours. By noon, our work was over. and she dropped 3 little dimes in each of our hands. Now, even at the age of 9 in the mid 1950s, 30 cents was not too exciting. Comic books would cost 10 cents back then, and I usually spent my money on comic books and went home. By Wednesday of the 4th week, I was ready to quit. I had agreed to work only because I wanted to learn to make money from Mike's dad, and now I was a slave for 10 cents an hour. On top of that, I had not seen Mike's dad since the first Saturday. I am quitting, I told Mike at lunchtime. The school lunch was miserable. School was boring, and now I did not even have my Saturdays to look forward to. But it was a 30 cents that I really got to me. This time Mike smiled. What are you laughing at? I asked with anger and frustration. Dad said this would happen. He said to meet him when you were ready to quit. What? I asked. He has been waiting for me to get fed up? Sort of, Mike said. Dad's kind of different. He teaches differently from your dad. Your mom and dad lecture a lot. My dad is quiet and a man of few words. You just wait till this Saturday. I'll tell him you're ready. You mean I've been set up? No, not really, but maybe. Dad will explain on Saturday. Waiting in line on Saturday. I was ready to face him and I was prepared. Even my real dad was angry with him. My real dad, the one I call the poor one, thought that my rich dad was violating child labor laws and should be investigated. My educated poor dad told me to demand what I deserve, at least 25 cents an hour. My poor dad told me that if I did not get a raise, I was to quit immediately. You don't need that damn job anyway, said my poor dad with indignity. At 8 o'clock Saturday morning, I was going through the same rickety door of Mike's house. Take a seat, wait in line, Mike's dad said as I entered. He turned and disappeared into his little office next to a bedroom. I looked around the room and did not see Mike anywhere. Feeling awkward, I cautiously sat down to the same two women who were there 4 weeks earlier. They smiled and slid across the couch to make room for me. 45 minutes went by and I was steaming. The two women had met him and left 30 minutes earlier. An older gentleman was in there for 20 minutes and was also gone. The house was empty and I sat down in his musky dark living room on a beautiful sunny Hawaiian day, waiting to talk to a cheapskate who exploited children. I could hear him rustling around the office, talking on the phone and ignoring me. I was now ready to walk out, but for some reason I stayed. Finally, 15 minutes later, at exactly 9 o'clock, Rich Dad walked out of his office and said nothing and signaled with his hand for me to enter his dingy office. I understand you want a raise or you're going to quit, Rich Dad said. Well, you're not keeping your end of the bargain, I blurted out nearly in tears. It was nearly frightening for a 9-year-old boy to confront a grown-up. You said that you would teach me if I work for you. Well, I have worked for you and I have worked hard. I have given up my baseball games to work for you, and you don't keep your word. You haven't taught me anything. You are a crook, like everyone in town thinks you are. You are a greedy. You want all the money and don't care of your employees. You make me wait and don't show me any respect. I'm only a little boy and I deserve to be treated better. Rich Dad rocked back into his chair, hands up to his chin, somewhat staring at me, and it was like he was studying me. Not bad, he said. In less than a month, you sound like most of my employees. What? I asked. Not understanding what he was saying, I continued my grievance. I thought you were going to keep your end of the bargain and teach me. Instead, you want to torture me. That's cruel. That's really cruel. I am teaching you, Rich Dad said quietly. What have you taught me? Nothing, I said angrily. You haven't even talked to me once since I agreed to work for peanuts. 10 cents an hour. I should notify the government about you. We have child labor laws. My dad works for the government. Okay guys, so this is where I will end the part 2 of the chapter 2. If you've liked this video so far, then please click on like button and do share it with your friends. And if you haven't subscribed to our channel, then please subscribe. Thank you so much.